This man who has been convicted, as indicated, 34 times, twice impeached, desires to be a dictator. In fact, I contend that he has already crossed that line. When you defy orders of the Supreme Court of the United States of America, you're there. But there are those in the country who would have us believe that there has to be a constitutional crisis before you can engage in impeachment. They would want us to wait until the tanks are rolling into major cities and taking over capitals. This is our time to deal with it before we get to a point of no return. I believe that impeachment is imminent. I believe that is necessary. I pray that my colleagues will see the same. But whether they do or not, I will introduce articles of impeachment. They will be read on the floor of the Congress of the United States of America for all the world to know why Donald John Conman Trump should be impeached.
I mean, here's what's crazy. He gave an interview the other day with Terry Moran of ABC, where he literally said he doesn't necessarily have to follow the Constitution.
That's right. Says it. Yes, he has confessed there, but he also had this meeting in the White House with the president of El Salvador, and at that time, he and a number of his key cabinet officials, they went on to talk about how the man's an illegal alien and how he's a member of some sort of crime, a gang. But here's the point. It doesn't matter what he's done. In this country, you're entitled to due process of the law. Doesn't matter what you've done that violates the law. You still have that right to say, hey, you got the wrong person. Hey, this is something else, and I'm not associated with that. He never had that opportunity. But it's not about him as much as it is about you and what can happen to you if we allow this to happen to him. If it can happen to one person, it can happen to another. And if it can happen to another, it can happen to me and possibly you.
We talk about lack of due process. We talk about just him cutting, we just saw last night, issues an executive order. He just can't cut the corporate or public broadcasting. I mean, he thinks he can do whatever the hell he wants to do.
Well, he is now governing by executive order. That's what it is. And each of these executive orders will have to be appealed, they'll have to be litigated, and it takes time to do this. In the meantime, he is now having his executive orders fulfilled. And then we have to come back and people have to be rehired. He is disrupting the lives of the American people. But more important than this, my dear brother, he is inculcating fear into our society. There are people who are afraid to take him on. Well, I'm not. I'm going to take him on. Mr. President, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. I will not be intimidated. I'm going to bring articles of impeachment against you.
Well, on that particular point, you've got people who are afraid. There are people who are afraid to protest. They're afraid they might get, called a terrorist. And you can't just let this guy get away with whatever he wants. There has to be accountability. He has to be challenged.
When he won't obey the orders of the court,
right,
and when the Republican-controlled Congress will not take up its constitutional mandates against him, that only leaves Democrats. And Democrats can do what they may. I'm a liberated Democrat, unbought, unbossed, unafraid. I have said that I will impeach. I will say it again. He will be impeached. But let me add this. People of the country, understand this. When this man crosses the line and fulfills his desire to be a full-time dictator, he's a part-time tin-horn dictator now. But when he fulfills his desire to be a full-time dictator, it will be too late. You don't wait until there's a constitutional crisis, and you don't have to have one to impeach, and you don't wait until there is a dictatorship. You do this to prevent the dictatorship. You do this is the patriotic thing to do for a person who wants to stand for liberty and justice for all.
Again, it's just crazy what we're seeing, you're dealing with someone who's completely unhinged. And then this creation of a Department of Government Efficiency that is not even a real department, allowing individuals who are not properly vetted, who have not been, who have no credentials, making these decisions. He's just running roughshod, and frankly, Republicans are saying nothing, doing nothing, not even holding him accountable. They are truly pathetic in how they are dealing with this.
Absolutely. And you are eminently correct. DOJ, the department, well, presidents don't create departments. Congress can create a department. They can't. So what he has now is a fake department. He had a person with a chainsaw who who was lauding what he was able to do in terms of cutting salaries, cutting people. They did a cut on NASA. We were out protesting with those persons. They want to eliminate the Postal Service that is in the Constitution of the United States of America, eliminate it by privatizing it. They've said that Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. That's going to impact people who have made an investment in their futures. They're going to cut into that. And of course, I stood on the floor of the Congress of the United States of America, and I had my cane in hand, and I pointed out to the president that he does not have a mandate to cut Medicaid. He doesn't have a mandate to cut Medicare, nor does he have a mandate to cut Social Security. And that has become a battle cry across the length and breadth of this country. In fact, around the world, people understand now that this is what he would do. As you know, they're mandated to cut $880 billion from the committee that has oversight of Social Security, over Medicaid. And if they cut that $80 billion, $80 billion from that committee, then that's going to leave a lot of people suffering who are in need of medical attention.
Indeed, indeed. Congressman Al Green, we appreciate it. Keep the pressure up.
Well, let me just add one more thing, if I may, as I close. Listen, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't dip, I don't chew. I do have some vices. But remember this, if I am missing, I'm expecting you and this station, you, dear brother, to demand some accountability for what happened. This man is so unhinged, and he has people out there on the street who are unhinged. We don't know what can happen to people. When you have federal judges who have protection, federal judges, a chief justice on the Supreme Court saying we need protection and you've got to be careful. When he's talking about impeaching them, and he knows what that's going to do, it's going to send a message to those people on the street. So I just expect you to make sure that there's some accountability.
That'll happen.
All right.
You can bank on that.
All right.
Is just shameful and despicable. Dr. Zachary Kirk, educator and content creator out of Atlanta. Morgan Harper, director of policy and advocacy, American Economic Liberties Project out of Columbus, Ohio. John Jackson, a U.S. Marine vet and former Democratic strategist. Glad to have all three of you here. Zach, I'm going to start with you. I mean, the thing here is this here. This idiot said, I want to be a dictator. Then he goes, oh, only on the first day. And Sean Hannity laughed about it, and the Fox News, and everybody, oh, he's just joking. He's just joking. He's just joking. He's not serious. But when you look at these actions, when you look at this attitude where you can do whatever you want to, cut whatever you want, fire anybody you want, no accountability whatsoever, it's just absolutely insane. Zachary, I think you're on mute.
It is insane. And not only is it insane, this man is being enabled by the only levers of constitutional power that can reel him in. We have a Congress that is refusing to act, and we have a Supreme Court that has that's refusing to act, and that's allowing him to run amok and drive our country into the ground. He is taking power, usurping powers that have never been granted and given to a president. This is the United States. This is a country of no kings. Yet we have someone trying to be that. We are in a constitutional crisis, as House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries has said over and over and over. And I just want to say to Congressman Green, I'm so thankful that you brought him here, that he was able to address the American people, because the members of our CBC have gone above and beyond in regards to their work in sounding the alarm and being on the front lines. Where are the rest of the members of Congress? We have an entire party, the Republicans, who are enabling this and making sure that his authoritarian dictatorship takes place. We need to see some conscience in the Congress that goes beyond our CBC. And to everybody in the Black community. They are testing and pushing the rule of law to see what they are able to get away with and what level of resistance will be given by the people. And as sure as my name is Zachary and I am black as black can be, they're going to do the exact same thing to our black asses too, as soon as they can. That's the entire point of all of this. They started with one marginalized group, and it's going to spread from group to group to group to group. And we can't sit back and we can't be complacent and say to ourselves, well, that's not going to happen to me, because our day is coming, and it's coming a lot sooner than I'm afraid many of us are thinking. And we heard that echoed in what Representative Green said. I'm going to be honest with you, Roland, I'm still stuck at his warning at the end. And I don't even know to what extent it was a warning as much as it was a call to action and a plea for help. This man knows what is happening in Washington. This man knows how serious the threat of Americans' democracy's crumbling really is. He knows the rights of the people are being taken away. He knows what's going on. And he literally made and to me, in the best platform he could, on right here with you on Roland Martin Unfiltered, letting all of us, the people that need to know first, know what's really happening.
Morgan.
Yeah, so I have a few thoughts. One, completely agree. I mean, I didn't see the clip that you're talking about on Bill Maher, Roland, but if someone is saying that they don't understand why we would care about what's happening to the man who's been deported to El Salvador, I really question your logic, because just has been said by the fellow co-panelists, by you, by Congressman Green, that this is not limited. Once you start violating laws, it can impact anyone, and there can be always a fabricated justification for doing that. So that, completely agree, ridiculous. I guess I want to come back to this idea of people who supported Trump, though it was only because of misinformation, and just like make sure we are all a common understanding of what we mean by misinformation. Because in my view, if someone decided to support and vote for President Trump, and they're saying that that was because of some economic motivation, because their life hasn't gotten better, because they don't feel like prior Democratic administrations have delivered for them, I don't think that that's misinformation. Now, maybe they were misguided to think that this administration was going to somehow be better. Maybe so. But just that they don't feel satisfied by what's come before, I don't put that in the category of misinformation. I don't put that in the category of an irrational position to be landing on. And I do think it's very important for us to be honest about that when we do start thinking about what comes next. And if whether it's a member of the CBC or, a Democratic member of Congress that does
People I've ever seen in my life. Okay, so let me just unpack what I heard. Now I know Morgan's like, oh no, you can't go there. Actually, I can go there because those are three idiots. First and foremost.
Well, I want to hear the rationale.
No, here's why. First of all, when the woman in red, yeah, I was listening to Candace Owens. We know she lies. We know she just lies. Well, I was listening to Candace Owens and I read her book. Okay, you're listening to a grifter. Okay, so she's not giving you factual information. She's a grifter. Then let's go to this idiot dude who needs a haircut. Okay, so he's sitting here. Yeah, TikTok is the holy grail. I'm not getting my information from news channels. I'm getting it from TikTok. Here's what we know based upon polling. People who got information from news sources voted more so for Harris because they got factual information. Folk who got their information from non-news sources, they voted for Trump. So right there, he's listening to people who don't know what the hell they're talking about. Then, I kind of like it that he's an asshole. Okay, I don't know how you can run against that, because if you just choose not to be an idiot, I don't know how you could do that. But then you got the other woman, I'm sick of black people who don't try to do something to fix the situation. I'm sorry. Those three were in North Carolina. I recall something called Moral Mondays. The environmental justice movement began in that state. They have been fighting fascism in North Carolina since Obama won in 2008. And then this, my husband's trying to be a cop and these bad things they say about cops. Would you like us to do the roll call of black people who have been killed by cops? Would you like for us to actually do that? I mean, so people like that, I mean, to be perfectly honest, there are some black people who I think are so delusional and so out to lunch, you're not going to reach them. I don't believe that that's who you should be going after. Not those three. You're not going after them, okay? Because if you're so willing to believe lies, and then you promote the lie that you heard, and it's not even remotely factual, then what in the hell, how in the hell do you counter that level of stupidity?
So I can comment on this. You know, from working on campaigns, we have a universe of voters we call persuadables. And a previous comment stated that there are some things that Democrats, liberals need to improve on. And Roland, you touched on it. Informed people voted for Kamala Harris. But here's the problem here. The majority of Americans are still not college educated, and Democrats slipped with every non-college educated demographic. Even with Black Americans, that was Trump's strongest group of Black Americans were Black people without a college degree. And so I think that part of putting out misinformation is being able to message people who might not be as educated as us, who might not understand things as easily as we do. We've got to learn how to break it down Barney style, as we used to put it in the military. We have got to explain things to the hood, explain things to the holler, explain things to people who might not get it and don't easily get it. That is going to be the key to saving democracy, because in 2024, it's a fact. You know, no after-action report shows us doing well with people without college degrees, and we've got to figure out a way to stop them from falling into the misinformation rabbit hole. We got to stop these Gen Z men. One of those guys was a Gen Z man. We got to stop these Gen Z men from falling into the misinformation rabbit hole.
But I think, but this is also where, Morgan, when you start breaking down, I mean, you look at the pathetic PAC, Future Forward PAC. 70% of their money was spent on linear television. That was just stupid. What people need to understand is we are now living in a social/digital first world. We are, okay? The world of the Time, Newsweek, cable networks, broadcast networks, they do not, on a daily basis, on a 12-hour block basis, a 4-hour block, an hour, a 30-minute, by a minute-by-minute basis, they do not really speak to the hearts and minds. If you do not have a targeted social digital strategy where you're flooding the zone with real, truthful information that's also entertaining, you're gonna lose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've been in this digital age.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's not an accident that you have someone who is Gen Z, younger people, who are mostly getting their information from TikTok. I hear that all the time when talking to young people. Why is that? Because TikTok is free, right?
Right.
And so if you're at this point trying to be a well-informed consumer of lots of information sources, well, get ready to pony up. How much money for digital subscriptions? It's going to be, I know I pay $12 to be able to read my local paper, the Columbus Dispatch. Then if you want to try to read New York Times, Wall Street Journal, all these online platforms, support Roland Martin. And
I'm pulling up TikTok right now to sit here to keep going, because I'm gonna say something about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's free. And so absolutely agree with what you were just saying, that this is where the people are at. This is where they're going to be. This is where people who have maybe less money are going to be at. But this is also just where younger people want to be at, because they like consuming information like this online. And it's not an accident, though, or it's not an inevitability, I should say, that there's only certain kinds of platforms that get traction over others, like a TikTok, or some of the way that the ad market has been structured with Google and Facebook. So here's why I push back a little bit on this is just the inevitability, or Democrats have done enough here, is When's the last time you heard a Democrat talk about this? When's the last time you heard a Democrat talk about the market structure that has allowed local media to be decimated over the past 20 years?
But hold up.
Right?
To answer your question.
Okay.
To answer your question, and this is why it goes to what you just saw. From 2016, so if you go from Trump winning in 2016 to present day, how many times have we been inundated with, let's go to a diner? What are the Trump people thinking? To your point, even mainstream media, they ain't talking to Democrats. They're not talking to progressives. They're not saying, hey, how do you feel about what's happening right now? Everything, and again, this is where we have all of these media people, all of these media folk, they are centering Trump. And it's
by design.
And it's oh, you know, it's like they're really concerned, and you know, it's because we had 6 years of economic anxiety, and I was like, that was bullshit. So what we have to also just recognize is what is also being fed to people. What's being fed? We talk about Trump and the administration on this show every day, but we're telling people what they're doing. And I said, anytime Donald Trump comes on CNN, we should have a crawl at the bottom that says, this is for entertainment purposes only. This is no lie. I get an email from Ken Jouts, the executive vice president at CNN, who tells me, do not criticize Donald Trump coming on our air. That night, I think Obama gave some speech, something economic speech, and Piers Morgan had Trump on his show for the whole hour, offering commentary on economics and world affairs and everything along those lines. And I remember saying, man, fuck Ken. I was like, why in the hell is this dumbass on CNN? I mean, I just started tweeting. I didn't give a damn. I'm like, whatever the hell. But this is what happens. So when folk just dismiss his crazy, but his crazy then shows up as policy, then it's like, oh, I didn't think he was being serious. We told you he was being serious. And so this is why, and then people say, I remember early on, well, you know, we can't get upset with every little thing he's doing. I'm going, if you give this thug an inch, he's going to take 100 miles. And so I just think Democrats and progressives are still in this, well, what do we do? This is where you go, you throw everything. You hit them with everything. You are in media constantly. You make it this is warfare. This is information warfare. You do battle 7 days a week. You don't take a day off. That has to be their posture. Otherwise, oh, we don't see y'all saying or doing anything, so I guess what he's doing is okay.
But I do want to come back. I agree with that, Roland.
Hold up, Morgan, go ahead.
Okay, just to finish the thought, I do agree with all of that. As we've discussed, all of the constitutional violations, the complete destruction, the infrastructure of government is a huge problem and needs to be called out every single second. I think my point and what the clip was just showing us from those interviews is, but doing that alone is unlikely to be enough if the goal is to get a different kind of president in 4 years. How do we know? Because these people are saying they are not persuaded by that. And these are people that are saying they would vote in different ways. And I want to come back to especially what that guy said about how are my kids' lives improving? So in addition to the critique of all of the bad things that are happening, and this has to be the learning from 2016 over the past 8-9 years now, is what are we filling the void with? What are we saying that we Democrats,
right?
Okay, right? What's the vision? What's the plan? And if there's not as much time spent on that, then we are very likely to continue repeating the exact same pattern and lose.
I don't know who's going. Zachary or John? One of y'all want to say something? Go ahead.
I just wanted to add in, Roland, when you said that the Americans are sitting here saying what's not going to happen, or he's just joking, or it's in jest, he's trolling. You know who believed him and took him at his word? Canada. We're sitting here in America when this man talks about annexing Canada, taking over Canada, invading our neighbor to the north. We're sitting here making jokes about it, talking about red, white, and blue land for Greenland, making jokes and laughing at it, where the Canadians sat down and we completely shifted the outcomes of their most recent election to where now they have a liberal prime minister and a liberal government put in place. They took the threat of Donald Trump seriously, and we haven't done that. And when we talk about looking at these people that we just saw, that proves and highlights exactly what you just said about the media. CNN didn't come to find people from the Black Star Network for Roland Martin Unfiltered. They didn't get your viewers. They didn't go to the people when they want to talk to Black America who are really ingrained in a part of the work of Black America. They went and found people that are listening to Candace Owens. These are not lowly educated voters. These are high bullshit voters. That's what they're consuming, bullshit from Candace Owens. And that's who they platformed. CNN is the problem when it came to that right there. CNN is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, John, go ahead.
CNN is just trying to be the grown-up version of Fox News. They're like, well, you can't say it that way. We're going to present it in a more professional manner. But they do a good job of spreading misinformation by having complete bullshit on and calling it fair and balanced. So, and then they'll get mad when a Roland Martin wants to tell the truth. They get mad if any Black or liberal reporter wants to tell the truth. That's more a violation at CNN than spreading misinformation. So CNN has played a role in eroding our democracy. They just don't do it as blatantly as Fox News or Newsmax.
Folks, Senator Raphael Warnock stood with other senators in challenging first 100 days of Donald Trump's presidency, and he, of course, was had a few words to say. Here he is right now.
It didn't take us long to see what this Trump administration is all about. This is the worst first 100 days that this country has seen in a very, very long time. We are witnessing an all-out assault on our Constitution, an all-out assault on our norms and our values, an assault on the pocketbooks of ordinary people, but in a real sense, an assault on the spirit of the American people. They are trying to convince us that our neighbors are our enemies. We should know better than that by now, and we do. We went through a deadly pandemic in which if my neighbor was sick, while she was sick, I was potentially imperiled because it was an airborne disease. That didn't make my neighbor my enemy. That means I have an invested interest in my neighbor's health care, in my neighbor's ability to be covered. And so while there are politicians who want us to be wary of our neighbors, we ought to be wary of politicians who want us to be afraid of each other. They're trampling due process, striking fear in communities all across our country. They're firing the federal workers who serve our veterans. Many of them are veterans themselves. They have had the honor necessary to fight for us. And then they come back and they've got to fight with us to get ordinary respect for the work that they've already done and the work that they're trying to do. They're trying to shut down Social Security offices in Georgia and all across the country, drinking water safety offices. And why are they doing all of this? They're doing all of this in order to pay for a tax cut for billionaires, all the while adding billions of dollars, trillions of dollars over time to our national debt. But here's the thing that they're really trying to do. They are trying to weaponize despair. They're trying to so beat us down that we will be too soul weary to fight, and it's our job to prove them wrong. This country does not belong to the people in power. The power is in the people. And so I want the American people to be clear that we are fighting. In many ways, you will see our fight. Sometimes you will not see what the fights that we're engaged in, but know that we're fighting for ordinary people. Because we believe that if you center the people rather than the politics, you have a chance at getting the public policy right.
That's right.
And so we invite our Republican colleagues to join us. The doors of the church are open.
The U.S. Army has confirmed that on Trump's birthday in June, there's going to be a big military parade in D.C. that coincides with the celebrating the Army's 250th anniversary. Okay, so let me tell you how this is going to play out. Democrats are going to go, well, I think we should go because, you know, the parade is really a celebration of the Army. No, it's not. Donald Trump wants one of those Kim Jong-un Russian military parades that salutes him. This is where Democrats say, nah, we ain't going to that. And in fact, if I'm Democrats, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw my own celebration of the U.S. Army. And I'm going to, see, my deal is you don't, like, I'm sorry, all that bullshit on inauguration, yo, if I'm Kamala, hell no, J.D. Vance. You and your wife ain't riding in a limo with me. Take y'all ass, get another car. And in fact, I ain't even going to the inauguration. The mistake is when you want to uphold institutions, you normalize him. He gets to give you the finger at other things, and his supporters go, right on. We with you, Donald. Right on.
Well,
And I think that's my.
Hold on, Morgan, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that's my exact point, Roland. I mean, as long as you're letting someone else set the agenda, and even if it's an agenda that feels completely unconstitutional, illegal, out of control, whatever, fill in whatever word you want to plug in there. If you're not presenting an alternative agenda, they will continue to dominate. And so I agree. I mean, yeah, norms have been broken. If you're a sitting member of Congress right now, why would you give into it? Why are you voting for all of that? But also, what are you pointing the public to? And I'll just give one concrete example, right? Very much appreciate the words from Senator Warnock. Obviously, an extremely talented orator and doing a good job as a senator. But here's what I would love to see out of all of the people that were in that picture. Do the same type of event, but make it about breaking up pharmacy benefit managers, something that a lot of Republicans support, that a lot of them are sitting in there right now, that they would love to be able to pass a bill that they've been fighting for a long time to bring some relief to some independent pharmacy business owners that they're too chicken to actually push for and go against the administration. Democrats own that. Have a protest outside. Say we're going to be the party that's actually going to lower drug prices and break up these monopolies of CVS and Cigna and Aetna, all of it. We're going to break it up, and we're going to bring relief to Americans all over this country, including our service members, and put them on the defensive.
Guess what? There's not a single black-owned media organization listed as a member of the Daily Press Gallery on Capitol Hill. For months, the NNPA, Dr. Ben Chavis, April Ryan, and others have been trying to secure permanent credentials for April, Stacey Brown, and Lauren Victoria Burt, who all write for Black Press USA. Well, Stacey and Lauren join us right now to discuss how this has been going on. And Stacey, this has been a battle for a decade?
Oh, it goes beyond that. I mean, you remember your old buddy who used to run, was the editor of the
George Curry.
Newswire.
My man George Curry.
George had this. Even the great George Curry had the same issue, Roland, and it's still an issue. And thank goodness we have fighters like Lauren Burke who's been pushing this issue as much as anybody.
So, Lauren, what the hell is the deal? Why are they? I mean, first of all, people don't know who is this group, and who do they work for? Do they work for the government, or do they work for other media outlets? Who are they, and how are they deciding that Black Press USA, which writes for all the black papers across the country, isn't deserving of a credential?
Well, the press galleries, Roland, on Capitol Hill are staffed, of course, by government employees, and then there's a standing committee of journalists for each gallery that decides on credentials. And so when you apply for credentials, that standing committee, made up, of course, of journalists, make that decision. There's several press galleries, of course, that cover the different forms of media that we have. You have the radio TV gallery, you have the periodical press gallery, you have the daily press gallery, you have the press photographers gallery. When I first came to Capitol Hill, I was actually a federal employee. I was a staffer. I was a staffer, an intern for some senators. And then I got into the media. My first real media job was ABC News. And my first credential was with the radio TV gallery because I worked for Cokie Roberts. Cokie Roberts at that point was a member of the standing committee. So in those days, it was pretty easy to get credentials, I think, not just because I was affiliated with Cokie Roberts, but because that gallery, run at the time by Larry Janzik, who was a great guy and still a great guy, now run by a guy named Mike Mastrian, who's also a great guy, has always been a great gallery in terms of openness. I think the rules are just tighter for daily press and periodical press. And by the way, the Black Press USA is really a daily black newswire that feeds 230 black newspapers across the country. So it's basically a black wire service. So this has been going on for years, as Stacey said. I think it was going on before George Curry, actually. Mm-hmm. I didn't pay too much attention because I was getting my credential, I think, as a freelancer at the time. I'd gotten one from The Hill, and I'd gotten one from Associated Press because I was a contract photographer for Associated Press as well. But for some reason, Black Press USA has not been credentialed and cannot get credentialed. And this has gone on way too long. And at this moment, Roland, my attitude is now I am done talking to the people that I have been talking back and forth with for years. I think that the only people I will be talking to about this issue moving forward will be members of Congress. Now, if I lose the argument with them, I've lost the argument. But there's something wrong here when Gateway Pundit can get a credential. And by the way, I'm not here to argue against anybody else's credentials. I believe in the First Amendment, whether I agree with any other news organization or not. I don't care if it's Daily Caller or the Gateway Pundit or the 19th or anybody else. There's a lot of news organizations that are credentialed, and they deserve the right to cover Congress and be there and question members of Congress. But I think Black Press USA deserves that right as well. And I'm getting really tired of this discussion, particularly when Dr. Ben Chavis, and April Ryan, who is a historic journalist, can't walk in there and get credentials. There's something wrong with that.
So for people who don't know, do you need this credential in order to bring a camera in order to do interviews? Why do you explain to people who don't know why you need to be credentialed if you go to the U.S. Capitol?
Once upon a time, it was a lot easier, Roland. Right now, because of the restrictions of security, it has become increasingly difficult to have a face-to-face with a member. Now, of course, you can stake a member out at their office in one of the office buildings or a senator. What they do now, though, they close down the plaza during votes, and they close down the areas outside where there are press conferences occasionally, which are known as the Triangle and the Swamp. Shout out to Frida Murphy, who's a staffer for Yvette Clarke, the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, who came to get me outside one time when I could not get to the position where the press conference was in, which is right outside the Capitol steps, which is called the House Triangle.
So if you have a credential, you're allowed in that space. If you don't, you have to leave.
Correct. And the cops put barriers up so that you cannot get on the plaza of the front of the Capitol. That used to not be the case. That's a fairly recent development, probably in the last 2 years. Understandable with everything with Jan 6. I'm not trying to criticize the security on Capitol Hill, but you need a hard pass more today than you did when I first started.
No question. And make no mistake, and I know obviously you know this, Roland, but this is not just about a press pass. You know, this is a decades-long battle. This is a reluctance to allow, as already been stated, the Black press of America, the nation's trusted Black-owned wire service and news organization, into the same spaces as the AP, Reuters, CNN, the Senate Press Gallery, and House Gallery have continuously stonewalled us, denied us, and disrespected the very essence of what we represent, Roland. And you know that. And here's the thing: today we are seeing the word diversity be turned into a curse word by this administration and by this Congress. We are seeing Black history, American history, being attacked and threatened with erasure. Our community needs you, of course. You do more than anybody, Roland, but they need you. They need the Black press more now than probably ever before.